Oh, I mean, is it, you said pipeline?
Yeah, in the pipelines, which is actually in the process.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of questions about how to move to Canada. So I just want to ask you, like, how many clients of yours had received visa from VAC?
Well, question is if you're referring to Indonesian, right now we have 6 that issued, 8 is under process, and which is under process means to say they already represent by RCIC, because we don't deal with employers, obviously. And then we have actually not much, about 14 in the pipelines.
And thank you for explanation. So the next questions, which visa category they had received?
4 actually is under temporary foreign workers. We're going to have another 3. And the one that is successful is actually 2 of them is actually for Atlantic, which is a TRV working visa, which then normally Atlantic is pretty straightforward. You do with the TRV workers and then do your 3 months and then get your PR status normally after 6 to 9 months, as per the regulation stated, actually. Pretty much that's it so far.
Okay, and then
For Indonesia, I mean.
Oh, okay. So all the process, let's say if I want to apply, should I be an Indonesian citizen or can you?
You see, the majority that the people that are asking lately, because of your video, most of them are Indonesian. However, we do handle a couple of Indians, not so much, but we do as much as possible, being fair. We have a couple of Indians, but mostly are from Dubai and the Philippines, because we also have a couple of contacts in Philippines. And then pretty much it's a mixed bag, basically on Indian, Indonesian, and Filipino so far. But in general, if there is a good qualifications from anyone worldwide, basically we can assist and process. And remember, it's one thing when we said process, meaning to say that we check on the resumes, we do review each and every work experiences that they have, we do work reference check and everything. Once it is done, then we compile the report and submit it to the corresponding partner in Canada.
So if you want to apply, so you just log into your website.
Yeah, and fill up the forms. Make sure that you have IELTS ready, because without IELTS, I don't think that you can apply over our website right now. We are implementing this quite recently because we found that if you're a person that really wants to move to Canada, normally you already have IELTS ready with you, because this is not something that like you need to be a rocket scientist. You just need to be able to speak in English, and when I said English, I mean to say that read, speaking, listening, and writing.
Writing, yeah.
So once you have that and you have certified yourself by IELTS, then you're good to go and you can apply.
Is it what's the minimum score for IELTS if you want really to apply?
Well, when you mention minimum scores for IELTS, it varies, but we will always recommend that you get a minimum 5 on all bands to be considered. This is because if we look at the schematics of each and every province that we have and we deal with, most of them is actually on CLB4, which is basically all for a band, plus try to make sure that the listing section is on the 5. Then you go to other provinces, then there is a minimum of a CLB6. So to be on the safe side, we always recommend a CLB compared to CLB. IELTS has to be on all band 5, nothing less than that.
Okay, thank you for this. So for my next questions, how many clients are registered and are under process with you right now?
When you say registered and process, we don't take much actually. We only have at the moment in the pipeline actually about 12 or 14. 14 is actually the one that we have.
Pipeline?
Only 14, 1-4.
Oh, I mean, is it, you said pipeline?
Yeah, in the pipelines, which is actually in the process.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then basically we are receiving hundreds of applicants in the past, actually close to 2,000 by staggering number throughout the 2 years of our establishment start. But then these 2,000 mostly is either they don't have the right qualifications, or probably they just really don't have the fund to continue. Because first, for what it's worth, the Canadian system that relies on RCIC and job offers tend to have changes on year to year once we are entering the system. I'm not sure why people actually have the qualifications and doesn't want to proceed. But all that I know is people that have the right qualifications, they have sufficient budget to arrange for their work permits. Mm-hmm. Because obviously our consultant team in Canada, which is the one that we are working with, they normally will charge you for the work permit processing as well.
So my next question is, why no use in really closing an access over your clients and nobody should know who they are?
Number one, it's a big complaint.
Is it from the employer?
No. It's not from the employer. The employer basically they don't really bother who my clients are. It's just that some of my clients, well, when we post out over our social media stream, they normally get most of the new applicants try to engage with them and ask them how it's done and things to be done. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're wasting their times just to answering those questions instead really interact with their real friends. So having said that, and they're coming into the office and ask them, Aditya, can you please make sure that my face doesn't really look in front of the cameras and you put it over on your websites or whatever. Because of that reason, unless if the client, him or herself, providing the pictures over their posts, then we can take it, provided it is also approved by them. Mm-hmm. Because the thing is, it's more on privacy based, not because we don't want to show, to be honest, and because of the complaint, obviously.
Oh. Don't put me on social media.
Yeah, those are the thing actually.
Okay, we're just talking about how to getting a job, and we move forward about some people they want to study in Canada. So, do you do student visa too, as well?
Well, if the intention of the one that coming into us and ask the question whether I do a student visa and they are really had a good case and really wants just to study, then yeah, I can do it. But if the next intention is to get a PR over the student program, then I would normally have a look in details what are their backgrounds, because this is always come across when you see the current trend in the market. Mm-hmm. Student visa normally considered as an entry point to get a PR status. Actually, this is what we need to understand, which is I think it is very essential for everybody to also get a clear understanding. Student visa is intended for study. Yeah. Yes, Canadian government has this postgraduate working program. Yeah. Which is very good and excellent program. The PGWP, which is my assumption, again, this is not a government assumption, my assumption, actually designed to get the best people out of the student or international student, to be precise, that coming into Canada and study, mm-hmm. and then get the best of them, get them work out in the community, they're really performing, then probably they get an offers to work permanently, which is lead to the permanent residence. But then again, this is not the case for everybody, because you see, being in a student stream, international student stream, it doesn't really give a significant points when it comes to express entry points on CRS scores.
Oh, really?
But that's the fact. I mean, that's a fact that everybody, I think, really coming in a false information, or probably it's not really clear, or you could say it's misleading information provided to some people. But what I understand on student visa, this is something that I need to explain very clear. We don't do it is because if they look for PR, we normally don't recommend through student visa, because number one, the lack of time, total amount of costs, and also the possibility is still as thin as the temporary foreign workers and any other stream. There's no add-on advantage. So that's actually why we normally ask the questions. If you ask me, yes, we do. Then again, we need to check. Why? Because the thing is, if they look for PR, again, it's not really significantly high on the CRS add-on point. And one thing about this Panda that you need to understand is, statistically, Canada accepting 400,000 a year student.
Wow.
And that 400,000, if you look at the statistic, they only taking between 185 to close to 300,000 sometimes a year for permanent residents, and this is included all the economic stream. So that's why I always recommend to state it very, very blunt. If you're planning to get a PR over a student, yes, you can have it, but then it's not really guaranteed. Then if that is what they want and they're looking for a guarantee and assurance, then this is the problem that we always face. And this is why, because I'm based in Indonesia now mostly, I seldom now visit Dubai, but the thing is, with numbers of the people that coming into the office and asking for a student visa and they look for PR, normally they look for certainty or at least 95% guarantee that coming from us, this is something that we cannot give, that unfortunately we don't do this stream much as of this year or last year.
Well, maybe the lack of the student visa, because like they just graduate from high school and then they continue to Canada. Of course, they don't have experience to apply for express entry, right? How about the people like they already have a lot of experience, like people from Dubai, and they're willing to move to Canada through the student visa. So what is the percentage like they can
whether it will work?
Yeah, to get a PR based on the experience that they had, like in Dubai or Qatar or whatever, like from India.
All right, this is something that is something that I need to share. If you look properly on the regulations, I'm saying this always on regulations because you could say I'm actually following the rule always until recently. Well, regulations stated very clear that actually you need to be in the last graduations or in the last courses or in the last formal education within the minimum or within the range of 2 years. So if you are out of the school of 2 years and then you're now applying for a student visa, then there is a certain gaps if you have more than that. Then you need to provide a solid explanations why Canada has to grant you a student visa. Why do you want to study? Because the intention of student visa was never come or written. It is for PR status.
Okay.
When you look for PR status, then the Canadian government always stated, use the federal system, use the provincial system. So because this is something that everyone was misled, and it was led through with most of the people stating that it's easier to enter Canada over student visa, which is not wrong. It is true. It's easy to enter Canada with student visa. It's easy to get a letter of acceptance from the university. But the big question is, if you want to have and becoming a permanent resident, That is the big questions whether we can do it, or you personally can do it, or anyone can do it. Because the thing is, there are some other elements that you need to look at. So it's not just having graduate from Canadian university or college, getting a PGWP, and then get experience worked out. Then you can get a higher CRS course that enable you to get a PR status. This is not the case. There are some steps, and I already laid off a little bit of the statistic that 400,000 a year, and I can bet 60 to 70% of them are aiming PR status. Then why they only take about 10 to 25% of them? So this is our statistic. So out of the 400,000, they're only taking between 40 to 60% a year. This is the maximum amount based on the statistic. It is realistically, we always recommend people to see their potentials and see whether we can help. And this is why, if they have experience in Dubai, they probably need to attach to one of the schools in Dubai as well, get a formal educations and apply for student visa. Then they can get themselves, approved with IRCC. Because at the end of the day, student visa approval is not coming from the university or from the college, but it is the IRCC that having and get it approved. And I have 3 or 4 cases rejected, and they were wondering why they got rejected. And then I said, because you don't have a previous formal education in the last 2 years, you're never become student in the last 2 years. So this is something that everyone should understand, I think.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, speaking of Dubai, yeah, if you have that experience, it would be beneficial. But then it will not be calculated over CRS.
Oh, yeah. So the next question is, what do you think that make one client would switch well to apply for a student visa?
Well, that's already a baseline. 2 years, not more. Previous school graduates. So high school graduates, this is the very potential to get it done. And then, or somebody that probably going to do a master degree in Canada. Then it's a different story. Or probably he has already master degree and he wants to go with a PhD program. This is actually one of the recommendations that I put highly if they are aiming for PR. Get a PhD in Canada, because there is a PhD program lining up in the federal government that actually enable them to apply for permanent resident status. But then again, that means it's a postgraduate programs. So if you have plans to do that, or clients in particular, then yeah, there is a big, I would say, enormous chance that they will get the student visa approved. And if they are on a PhD or a master, there's a big chance also they probably get a big chance to get a PR status. But if it is only a college or study just for a year or 2, I wouldn't reckon if they are aiming for PR.
Do student visas sometimes get rejected by IRCC?
Yes, I have 3 cases already in the hand, and I checked out, and mostly it's because they cannot show to the visa officer that they are intended to study in Canada, gain experience, gain knowledge, and study really in the college. Because IRCC always has this screening system, and if they see that you are looking for PR status only through student visa, they normally will reject you as well.
Oh, especially
it's the ugly truth. It's the ugly truth that people don't talk about it. But this is something that I can be level with you, and this is what we understand. That is the case mostly, that these people get rejected, because the thing is, even so, if they would look at the regulations stated in the Canada.ca, it is very clear what is the requirements, and if you follow that, actually they shouldn't have any rejections.
So in your own understanding, how to make the applications for student visa would work?
Well, actually, number one is make sure that you have your financial basically ready and really covered for the whole study. I mean, study in Canada. Number two is making sure that your gap is less than 2 years, or if they are looking for a master in terms of increasing their degree at Canadian University, this is also something that we can assist, and is always a great chance for them to get approved. And other than that is normally if they are looking for example studying English in Canada, this is also good work. Yeah, this is also good work.
Then you said like by taking ESL.
Yeah, almost similar like that. But then again, normally you have problem because the thing is PGWP, then you will never get an NOC A or B.
Yeah.
Without NOC A or B, if you look for PR, then you say goodbye for the chances, because the thing is, in NOC C and D, under student visa, PGWP, and you don't get promoted to the NOC A or B, the moment your student visa expired, then you need to go back to the country and then reapply for PR status from the country, from your origin. You see, that's the complexity of getting PR. Is not like as easy as you would imagine. Some people said that I don't need a consultant, I don't need an agent, which is actually some, yes, correct.
Yeah.
But that only if you are able to do yourself a self-assessment.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, some would have this luxury, some would have this understanding of doing a self-assessment, him or herself. But the problem is, to get that understanding, number one, of course, that's why an IELTS needs to be 7 or 8.
Yes, I
because
agree.
everything is in English.
So my next question is, does studying in Canada have better chance getting PR status?
Actually, you have about 60 to 75% granted. It is a big chance still. But then again, there are some other process and red tape that you need to follow still. Even though you are studying in Canada, it does not guarantee that you will get a PR status. Because remember one thing, you cannot jump across from study and then getting a PR. This is actually something that is happening with Australia in the past years, that they stop right now. Which is
that's what I heard too about some Indonesian in Australia.
Yeah, I know, because the thing is, most of my clients right now, if it is not coming from Indonesia, normally they are studying in Australia, or they're currently working in Australia with the working holiday visa or something. So
yeah.
From my perspective is they try to get the student permit, they got trying to study in Australia, spending these amounts of dollars because they want to have PR status in Australia.
Yeah.
Back then in 2012, 2013, 14, it still worked. Right now, I can tell you it's tough, difficult, unless you can meet certain criteria. This is also the same thing with Canada. So if you ask me how's the chance, it's big, 60 to 75% increase. But then again, you need to be qualified, because the thing is, you can only entering with the Canada immigration federal system, which is that means express entry, or if you got recruited with provincial recruitment. So that's the thing. It's not sure. It's not a sure play.
So for my questions, we were talking about, I always explain about express entry, PNP, right? RNIP, IPP, and TFW. Would you mind to share with us like the understandings? What is PE? What is PNP? What is RNIP? With the
okay. Well, basically it's like this. It's basically how we look at clients. This is very important that each and everyone is coming into the office, or they submit complete details of resumes. Once then we see the resumes, because we don't see the clients yet. Normally, once we see the resumes, we look at them and see which one they would fit well. That's number one. Number two, and after that, we also would like to see how's the finance look like. Can they afford them?
Mm-hmm.
And then also sees what they would expect. Sometimes in between the lines, we decided to stop a system, because sometimes, for example, they don't have the budget to arrange to get a PR status with for example, because now it's getting high and getting higher on Atlantic. But they want to get a PR, but they don't have sufficient IELTS, they don't have sufficient degree, they don't have sufficient experience. So normally when you see this, you stop. But if you see clients that have a very good qualifications, if you see clients that has a very good or sufficient funding, they have the right experience, and they are on NOC of in demand on federals, then normally I sometimes push them for express entries, to be precise. So, but if you ask whether the Atlantic immigrations, this is basically is always a way to go, because it's much more convenience, it's easy access. Well, now not so easy, because the thing is you need an ECA, credential assessment, and you need an IELTS basically always on recommendation of all Band 5. Mm-hmm. And then there is a rural and northern immigrations. Rural and northern immigrations, which is recently open, it's only open for a couple of community. Yes. Now, the idea of rural and Atlantic pilot is basically to invite people to move to this area. Yeah. So, for example, actually the best one to do is actually getting a TFW, and then apply for Atlantic or rural and northern immigrations. Because Canada right now, I don't know if you are aware, there is a regulation stated that if you're already in Canada with temporary foreign workers and you are offered with a pilot program, you don't need to go back to Indonesia or to Manila or to Delhi. Just go straight in Canada and apply, then they can go move directly to the Atlantic or to the rural areas. Yeah. For example, like Thunder Bay in Toronto, in Ontario. So that's actually the whole idea, to get people spread by the Canadian government. Yes. Now, and this is something that people need to understand, that sometimes our job as an agent, sometimes finding the right proportions, occupations for them, is not an easy task, because then you are having a competition which is very stiff with people that already having a TFW and they don't get renewed by the employer, and they are now aiming for Atlantic and rurals. And just by common sense, if you're already in Canada, you have it with work permits in the past, you have proof that you are paying taxes correctly, you don't hide taxes, you don't take cash jobs, and now there's an offer from Atlantic. I mean, I don't need to do math and I don't need to explain. I'm sure they have more chance to get offered, and they can transfer or move to Atlantic or Thunder Bay.
Oh, I see. That's what I did. I was a TFW at the time, and then I applied for my residence. I was applied for under PNP. Yeah. And the other one is with the family sponsorship. But both of them I submit together, right? Yeah. But the family sponsorship, it's more easy, and I get approved for my work.
It's always the beautiful start to go with the family sponsorship. That I can tell you, the easiest one and the most beautiful start. Because then once you get a sponsor, because then the government of Canada doesn't need to worry whether you are a terrorist, whether you are being convicted in crime. Yeah. Because your family will then will be sponsored and guarantee your status. Yes. Okay. Because they see that you have the potential to stay. And remember one thing, even though Canadian government need people to stay, but it doesn't mean that everybody can enter the country and stay there permanently.
Yes, true. So now move forward about the rumors, right? The rumors stated that to use your service is expensive, and now even
okay, wait.
And now even the fee are figuratively darn high.
Okay.
Is this true, and why?
Expensive. It depends on which